Joy Breakfast, the nation's favourite rainbow breakfast show.
Beers, get on the beers.
We're now joined by Matt James from the incredible EDM act Mashd N Kutcher, who've become known for their viral mashups and high-energy live shows, and the now infamous single featuring the Premier of Victoria, Dan Andrews, Get on the Beers. They've just released their latest single, Across the Tracks, which is a first taste of their much-anticipated forthcoming album. Welcome to Joy Breaky, Matt James from Mashd N Kutcher.
Thank you very much for having me, and I will start by saying thank you for always, whether it's funny Premier COVID anthems or whether it's other dance records, you guys always support our music and have since day one. So thank you very much, because we really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much. Now, Matt, firstly, I'd like to ask a bit of a selfish question, because I've always wanted to ask this to you. I know it's been a minute since you did this track, but tell us, Get on the Beers, how did that all come about?
Great question. So I'm in Brisbane right now, but at the time I was living in Melbourne and very much in the thick of it with the lockdowns, as we all were. And you know, as a musician and as a touring artist, you know, our unique, experience with that situation was that we couldn't play any shows, and of course we couldn't travel. And we went from a full calendar year of touring to being confined in our apartments. And, as a songwriter, as a musician, you generally look to things around you for inspiration, and not being able to travel and, interact with other people and have those inspirations. Quite literally, the only thing in front of me was one man on a TV screen telling us what was going to happen each day. And I don't know, it just seemed like the right thing to do. And to be honest with you, not much thought went into it. It was like, okay, here's some bites from what he said, and let's put it to music. Fun little fact, actually, which I don't think I've shared anywhere before, but I'm happy to share it here, is the instrumental, so the music for Get on the Beers was actually for another song that I was working on at the time. So I was making a remixed new version of an R&B record from the 2000s called Tipsy, which is what you might now know as the Shaboozey song, which everybody in the club getting tipsy. And so if you actually listen to the song under Dan Andrews, you can hear dun, 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 dun. So everybody in the club getting tipsy. That's actually kind of where it was, which is ironic considering tipsy, beers, that's a whole nother parallel, which wasn't even meant to be. But that's what the song was originally meant for. And I don't know, it just wasn't really coming together. And I had this instrumental there. And when that man said the magic words, it just fell into place, and not much more thought was put into it. It was dumped, for better lack of a word, online, and the rest is history.
I love that. Did Dan give any kind of feedback?
Initially, as the song was building popularity online, we hadn't heard anything, but it started to become apparent through the press conferences as they went on that he was increasingly aware of the song. And I noticed as the press conferences went on that each time one of the reporters would bring it up, there'd be a cheeky little glint in his eye and a little smile, and you could tell that he was probably, his kids and people were probably bugging him about it, to be honest. As he became more aware of it, we started to notice. And then fun fact as well, this is an interview full of fun Get on the Beers lore, if you like. So when the record went gold, we actually got presented with some gold plaques to celebrate. And there is a gold plaque that is made out to Dan Andrews himself. Now, our team tried to get it to his team, but for one reason or another, I think the timing just wasn't right. The gold plaque never made it to Dan Andrews. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with a nightclub venue in Melbourne called Porn & Co. And how Porn & Co. works, for those who don't know, is that the actual nightclub itself is like a pawn shop, and it's got items on the walls for sale. And there's all sorts of, they've got muskets and they've got all sorts of crazy items up on the walls that are legitimately for sale. That gold plaque with Dan Andrews' name on it is currently sitting on the wall in Porn & Co. Melbourne somewhere, with an unknown price tag on it. So, who knows? It's still out there somewhere.
That's hilarious. Now, your viral mashup videos have also become a huge part of your online presence. An example is the subway experiment you did. Now, tell us all about that.
When was that? That's probably so back in 2016. We'd been out to a few different public places and basically stuck a microphone and a keyboard in people's faces and said, "Can you play? Can you sing?" And some of them could, some of them couldn't. And we decided to go into a bunch of Subway stores and do it. And the staff in there were really good sports about it, and they were really keen. I think, to be honest, it gave them something different throughout their day to have a bit of fun and talk about. So that's it. What we do with music is, we bring people together and we give people a bit of something different. And, I'm not by any means like a prankster or, it's actually quite socially uncomfortable for me to walk into random businesses and, stick a mic in people's faces. So if anyone's ever on the other end of that, don't think I'm comfortable with it and you're not, because I'm also kind of freaking out. But, I'm happy just to rock in. And for the most part, people are generally very open to it. There's been a couple of cases where pretty sure I boarded a bus once in Brisbane and walked straight up to the bus driver driving and put a mic in his face, and he wasn't too rapt, but everyone else seems to be pretty cool with it.
It might be a bit distracting on a bus.
Who knows? Maybe there's a remix in it. Get on the bus,
There you go. You've heard it here first. And you also recorded the sound of an ice machine in the Subway store. Did that make it into any of your tracks?
It has, actually, come to think of it. I didn't think of that until you just brought it up. But yes, quite a lot of Foley from, little food and beverage things. And it's cool. Like, you'd be surprised the amount of everyday sounds that work really well in songs. You guys might have famously seen, the Billie Eilish record that included the pedestrian walk signal. Like, it's cool. It's nice to include familiar sounds. My only pet peeve, and people do this, is when they put police or ambulance or like siren sounds in a song. Because when I'm driving and I hear it, it triggers me. And I'm sure I'm not the only one.
That was very 90s. I'm glad we don't do that anymore.
Yeah, there's some things better left in the 90s, I think.
Indeed.
Mashd N Kutcher is known for blending multiple genres in your tracks. What's your process for deciding which styles to merge, and how do you keep it fresh?
Great questions. I think the songs that connect the most with people, there is very little process. It's the ones that we overthink and put a process in place tend to mean a lot of work and not a lot of result, but it's the ones that we sort of just go with our gut and actually have the least process possible that people seem to really resonate with. It could be, like you mentioned, remixing sounds in a Subway store. It could be Get on the Beers. It could be our new song. What have those three things got in common is they resonated with millions of people, and they all took under 15 minutes to make, which is, I think, goes to show.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. The song It's Alright has a special connection to your personal health journey and supports Myeloma Australia. Can you tell us more about the project and what it means to you?
Totally. Thank you for asking. I'm super transparent with my personal health journey. I was diagnosed with cancer in the form of multiple myeloma about 18 months ago. As someone in their mid-30s, it was a pretty wild, it's about as wild as it gets in terms of a curveball. And, it's something me and the family have been working through. And I'd never heard of multiple myeloma before. It's a very rare and unusual cancer. And as I started to learn more about it, I thought, look, I've got an audience here. I need to share this. So what we did with that record is we were able to give 100% of the artist streaming royalties to Myeloma Australia. So, rather than in today's economy asking people to dig into their pockets or this or that, when Spotify streams happen and money gets generated from that, it goes to Myeloma Australia. So all people need to do is listen to the song. So hopefully if I can make a song that people like, that has another more compound effect, which is really cool.
Brilliant. May I ask, how's your health now?
Thank you for asking. It's an ongoing journey. At this point, I've actually had some meetings with the medical team this week, and after a stem cell transplant, we are now in a position of complete remission, which is fantastic, and we're all really happy with that. It's an ongoing thing, but
that is absolutely fantastic.
Thank you. We're happy with where it's at so far. It's a hell of a ride.
It sure would be.
Matt, we know you've performed at some massive events, including the A-League Grand Final and the BBL at the MCG, which is a hilarious question for me to ask because sports ball, I have had to Google what that was, but that's awesome. So How does performing at such a large scale event influence your approach to creating music?
It's a great question. I think for me personally, I don't think it does. It's a really interesting experience to be whacked in a stadium in front of 20,000 people, but I don't think it changes the way we make music. The music making process for me, I'm going to be totally honest with you, it's not in big multi-million-dollar glamorous studios and flying back and forth to LA. It's usually in my spare room upstairs and, in the dark at 2:00 in the morning coming up with these ideas.
Matt, do you prefer a big crowd or a smaller crowd? Because 20,000 is massive and must be an awesome energy.
It certainly is. I wish I could say that's the biggest amount of people we've ever been thrown in the deep end, but it's not. We played in front of... we played in front of 50,000 at a college campus in India. We played in front of 40,000 at Texas Tech in the US. We played in front of, 35,000 in Thailand at a water festival. It's pretty wild, but and I'm not throwing those numbers out there to boast about. I'm saying it was like pretty terrifying to be put in front of that many people. But look, funny enough, it's a great question. The intimate shows are really cool too because it's a different type of energy. While there is a grand energy of being in front of that many people, you're disconnected from the crowd, so you're quite a way away from them. Whereas we play a lot of country towns and things around Australia over the years, and when you're playing in front of 100 locals at a rural town that don't get much entertainment come through there, they appreciate that. And I think learning to become a musician and an entertainer that's comfortable doing both is a really great experience. I think you'd be missing out if you only did one or the other. So I'm very grateful to kind of experience both.
Yeah, that's awesome. Look, we are so excited. You've got new music out. There's a new single, Across the Tracks. Can you tell us a little bit about how this one came together?
Totally. Yeah, look, Across the Tracks it's a high energy dance record, but it's got little snapshots of Motown and funk and soul and some little nods to some really great vinyls my parents had around the house when I was younger. And just a lot of fun, really. I really like the lyric in it because it kind of captures that vibe of, making it out of the small town and across the tracks to like the big city lights. And I think, that's a bit of a metaphor for, having an ambition and sort of having the courage to act on it. On surface level, it's just a fun banger, if you will. But if you read into the lyrics a bit, it's got a cool message behind it. And we just released a music video for it, which we linked up with some really talented dancers they jump on the subways around Manhattan and New York, freestyling on the subways. And I thought that was just the perfect visual to go with the song. So that's out there too on YouTube and MTV and Rage and Video Hits and all those fun things.
Awesome.
Now, it has been mentioned that, and it kind of alludes to what you were just talking about just then about how the song is a little bit about taking risks, stepping out of your comfort zone. Is it linked to any moment in your life? Is it maybe like a moment in your career where you had to take a big leap of faith maybe?
I think when you're sitting there writing a song, and you're in that moment coming up with ideas, there's probably little bits of, lived experience and, little nuggets of things that you've collected over the years that find their way into the music. So probably, I think that's, I guess, part of the fun of being a songwriter is you have all those things in the back of your mind, but then at the front of mind, you're just kind of trying to make the coolest thing you can in that moment. So I'm sure there's bits of it in there for sure.
Yeah. Now, there is an album coming out in December as well. How does Across the Tracks fit into that kind of wider body of work?
Great question. And as someone who is writing their first album, can I just say how much I appreciate chatting to people like yourselves about it, because it's exciting. Like, I'm used to just putting out a single here, a single there, and that's all I've ever known. But I sat there over the last year when I was kind of dealing with a lot of my health stuff, and I thought, what's the music that's most important to me growing up? And I realized that it was all albums. There's a lot of awesome independent Aussie artists and a lot of, big rock bands, even things like Michael Jackson or, my dad showed me Dark Side of the Moon when I was probably like 12, 13, and just experiencing music as a body of work with a whole bunch of tracks in an album. That was what was important to me. So I was like, okay, I need to start somewhere, so I better get one under my belt. So the first one is coming out, and it's like Across the Tracks. times 10, and there's a lot of records on there that have snapshots from different genres and styles, but overall it's high energy dance stuff. I have no doubt it's probably going to resonate with a lot of your listeners, and if you've spun the Mashd N Kutcher records before, it's no departure from that. It's more of the same.
Yeah, no, I'm sure we're going to love it.
Matt from Mashd N Kutcher, thank you so much for chatting to us here on Joy Brekkie.
Thank you, as always, for having us. And there's a cheeky record coming out. Watch this space in about 6 weeks. It's called The Dance, and it's all about having a cheeky dance. I think you'll really like it. Just watch this space. Keep an eye on that one.
We certainly will. Thank you so much.